Judiciary, where they had Mr. Taibbi from the Twitter files and Mr. Schellenberger, and they had Miss Subrasaya, well, you know, and Miss Troy, and they all testified today, and we were there to witness that. And you know, that is the only disruption that we really give, is that we do say justice for all, the way we do out here on the corner when we say the pledge there in the Rayburn building, because and Jim Jordan said, thanks for the enthusiasm. You know, well, I would like to thank him for his enthusiasm. You know, I wish I could.
Right.
I mean, I appreciate a lot of what he does, but, you know, Oliver's lost a leg. Okay. Sorry, Brittany. We love that dog. It would have been horrible. But, you know, so we did see that today, and I guess we could talk about it now, you know. I mean, it was the basic committee hearing where they truly do have Trump derangement syndrome on the left. They could do nothing today but talk about Trump and not about the censorship of the American people, not about, I believe Goldman still believes that the Hunter Biden laptop has been manipulated and not real. You know, and it has come out over and over again by different people that that laptop is absolutely Hunter Biden's laptop, and it has been verified by, you know, many sources. So they absolutely did that, keep that from the American public, and they're still trying to spin it to where they didn't, and still bringing up Russia, Russia, Russia. I mean, what? I mean, I'm like, what year are we in, and what committee hearing am I in? Is this about the weaponization of the government, about their censorship, and not allowing the American people to make decisions based on information that was out there, instead of manipulating it and making everything a conspiracy theory, when in reality it was the truth? You know, and you drive people to a point to where they want to scream it from the mountaintops that our government is lying to us and manipulating us, and then you still sit up there and you say it's a lie. And, you know, Schellenberger really gave it to him, and I encourage you to go and watch any video you can of Schellenberger giving it to Mr. Goldman.
It's out there.
It is out there, and, you know, it was, it got a little, I wouldn't say rowdy by standards of the last couple of weeks, but Schellenberger did square, I mean, he turned his whole body. Like, most of the time they're sitting and they're taking questions, and Goldman was just so, I just can't even think of the right word, but obnoxious. He did. He was angry drinking his water. It was something to watch. And he was coming after him, and Schellenberger turned his whole body and just had some stuff to say to Goldman. And wow. He was all flustered and, you know, not very professional looking by the time it was over, but you know, again, we sit in these committee hearings and people talk and talk and talk, and they come at it. And Kat Kamek, she's a representative out of Florida. She did say, you know, she missed the memo on this being a hearing about Trump, because every single time it was the Democrats' turn to talk, it was all about Trump and disinformation, and they had a little lady there, or little lady. Ooh, I'm gonna get some hate talk for that. Yeah, she was worked for Mike Pence, and she was saying, yeah, she had a lot of really ignorant sounding stuff to say, and, you know, so our side called her out, and they apologized to her ahead for rude comments that were going to be made to her, and, you know, I don't think anybody was particularly rude to her, but anyway, just a lot of talk on different sides, and we need to see a little more action.
Yeah, Miss Troy, she worked under Mike Pence in the National Security Division area, and really I felt like she was just placed there to promote the narrative of when Trump is reelected again, about how he's going to be an authoritarian, and it's going to be horrifying, and it's going to be so scary because he's going to put people in jail for being on the other side of the aisle. And what? Are you kidding? You people have been doing that for 3 years. You know, so, and not that I think Trump is going to get in there and do that, but I truly believe Ms. Troy was just placed in there to continue the narrative about Trump being an authoritarian and what will happen, all the dangers that will happen if and when he is reelected. And because really she didn't add anything to it. She wouldn't answer any question directly. Most of her answers were talking about how afraid she was under Trump. And they talked about these loyalty tests. Well, I'm not so anti-loyalty tests. If anybody knows my story, I think everyone should be doing some loyalty tests out there. But, I get it. I think good debate is great for our government. I think it's amazing that it's open to the public and people can sit there. But the problem is there's no debate going on. There's not a debate going on back and forth about these issues. It is Donald Trump did this with Russia, or blah, 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 and or this is a waste of our time meeting. And there's no true debate. There's hardly anybody in there to even debate back and forth with each other. Or
talk and leave.
They do.
Yeah.
They literally come in. They have it timed because I don't know if you've been. When you go in there, first the chairman speaks, and then they switch on and off for what's supposed to be 5 minutes. Usually goes over. So a lot of these staff members, or a lot of these congressional members, according to where they sit, they time it to where 5, 10, 15, 20, okay, so I have to be in there, and then they come in, they talk for 5 minutes, and they leave.
Yeah.
So I don't know how anybody's supposed to know what is going on when they're not even listening to each other. They just don't listen to each other.
Right.
They don't listen to the arguments that the witnesses have in rebuttal to somebody else's questions. It's strictly, well, a couple of them, like Kat Kamick and Harriet Hagman were there all day, even though they were the last to speak. They were there from the beginning to the end. I can't really think of anybody else. Oh, Miss Plaskett was there all day.
Yeah,
She sat all day.
Yeah.
Who else hung in there?
Jordan was there all day.
He slipped out for a second because they had to come change a little. Yeah. But he was there mostly. Gates didn't show up. We still love Matt Gates. I'm just saying he wasn't even there. So I don't know how we can get things done in these committee hearings when nobody's listening to each other. I know, when my son was 10 years old, he could see, he said, the problem is everybody wants to be heard and nobody wants to listen.
That's right.
And that is just so true. And nobody's listening. So that's the problem, is nobody's listening.
Yeah.
Well, and the argument today, and you think it would be packed, because the argument that was going on in the committee hearing today was absolutely about the First Amendment. And the First Amendment to free speech, and the First Amendment to have your opinion to be able to, out on Twitter without it being taken down because it doesn't support a narrative that the ruling class wants to put out there. And, because the First Amendment is for everyone, even for, there was a forefather who had a saying, the First Amendment is even for things that my ears hate, or something like that, because it's not just for your opinion, it's the First Amendment's for everybody. If I don't like what you have to say, then I don't have to like it. But you're still allowed to say it. You're still allowed to post what you feel like that you would like to post. And they're saying that you're putting out misinformation. The young woman that was there that came from Canada that spoke today, she works for the press. And she is saying what's going on in Canada and what's already happened in Canada is, they've taken away the press's First Amendment right. It's going to be exactly what, the government wants to put out there. And she was here as a warning of what is going to happen and what is actually already happening. Jan 6ers aren't allowed to use the First Amendment as an argument in the courtroom. And today, all we heard today was that it is absolutely the right to have your First Amendment suppressed, is what the left absolutely does believe. They believe that if it is what they consider misinformation, who's the person that decides that? And right now it's the government. Missouri versus Biden is a very crucial thing that's going on, where they're saying the government has no right to intercede into social media platforms and pressure these platforms to take down posts that they deem that they don't want out there. And they have emails, and it's done over and over again. Well, people, this is our First Amendment, the very first one. And if we keep allowing it to slip away, you know, I don't know what we're going to be able to do about it. I already feel like it's already dead in our country. But, you know, we have to stand up and fight for it. Our Uber driver today was from the Ivory Coast. And, you know, he is fighting for freedoms in his country. He's the only one here from his family and friends that live in this country. And he had a very good point today. And I'll wrap it up and we'll listen to music, you know. But he had a really good point today about how until things affect you, you know, you can't really turn your mindset to it. So, you know, and what he was talking about in his instance is that he was carjacked going to the southeast here in D.C., and he never thought about not going over there because he had never been carjacked. And then now that it has happened to him, he's like, well, no, now I'm looking at who am I picking up? Is it a female's name? You know, all these different things because it directly affected him. Well, you know, things are directly affecting us in our country right now. And that has to be, you know, we have to not be afraid now to make those steps and to change, you know, what we see. Because what he was talking about is that, you know, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And we've all seen stuff since January 6th and before that we can't unsee. And we just have to keep standing up, and we have to keep doing the vigil, and we have to keep going to court, and we have to keep taking the government's task. And, you know, it's just so important when I think about everything that we could lose. And he even agreed with us. He came here to make a better living and to be free. Well, where else would he go? If this is gone, where would Mr. Uber driver be able to go to? It's the last great stand, and we've got to stand for it. So,
did you see what Attorney General in Texas did? No. He's suing Pfizer and suing for false claims of what their drug would do, and also suing for the censorship of any talk that was against it.
All right.
So that's your Attorney General in Texas.
I like that.
Yeah.
Paxton.
Yeah, he's all right.
Ken Paxton, right?
Yeah. Yep.
They're the ones that they tried to impeach him. They had the whole
right,
thing
right.
A couple of months ago
Yep.
where they tried to get him out because he was doing stuff like that.
That's
honestly.
right. God bless him. I was sharing it everywhere. I'm just like, yeah, you get him, buddy. I'm behind you.